that's been raging for decades, costing more than 7,000 lives a year and endless anguish. So why do street gangs continue to thrive? I'm John Palmer, and this is Discovery Journal. Youth gangs exist in every inner city, but in Los Angeles, they're epidemic. They played a major role during the LA riots in April of 1992. It was back in 1969 that a high school student named Raymond Washington organized the Crips, short for Community Resources for an Independent People. It was formed as a militant action group that adopted the violent teachings of Malcolm X. Soon rival gangs surfaced, and major gangs split into factions, each with a specific neighborhood as its territory to protect. Today, there are more than 80,000 gang members in Los Angeles alone, and about 300 separate gangs. One of the largest and most lethal is the 8 Trey Gangsters. They're a faction of the Crips. They take their name from the street that forms the heart of their territory, 83rd Street. This edition of Discovery Journal traces the story of one gang leader, Little Monster, an 8 Trey gangster, the making of a Crip.
This is a quote by Malcolm X. Malcolm X said that there are 2 types of Negroes. There's the field Negro and the house Negro. And the house Negro, when the master's house is on fire, the house Negro will run to put the fire out quicker than the master, while the field Negro will pray for a stronger wind. When the master is sick, the house Negro will say, "Master, is we sick?" While the field Negro will pray that he's dead. I'm a field Negro, and I hate everything that America stands for. I hate the establishment. I hate that damn flag. There's a younger group of kids coming up, and they're going through the same struggles that we went through, of not having no place to play, not having no resources in the neighborhood. They have nothing to do. These people are not interested in a library because they don't want to learn history. And when you break that down to 2 syllables, it's his story, not ours. I don't want to learn about his story. I want to learn about mine. I'm not going to go to the library and read a whole bunch of books that don't pertain to the damn thing that I stand for. There's nothing for me to do. I can't get a job because of the color of my skin. So I'm going to hang out with my buddies and gangbang. What is the definition of gangbang? What makes up a gang? I don't even know what the hell that word means, gangbang. That's a word that the establishment made up for reasons unknown to me. And we're now labeled as urban terrorists. It all started on this corner Wednesday evening about 5:30. Basically, the police chased one of the homies into this yard over here and slammed him and tried to manhandle him. And we were located in the vicinity. We came out in force as gang members. The community came out and backed us. More officers came. You had a tense situation on this corner right here. In a situation like that, normally you would get 2 cars. But with the Rodney King verdict being fresh, just handed down not an hour and a half before, they came in full force. And when they came, they were trying to handle, our homies roughly. And we weren't accepting that. The situation got tense. There was a lot of pushing and shoving. Once bottles and rocks and sticks were being thrown at the officers, they then went into a retreat mode and got out of there. And when they cleared that corner, what they left is, I'd say, well over 100 people very upset. And that's what happened on that corner. That's when people started getting pulled out of their cars, and Reginald Denny, the truck driver, got pulled out, and so forth. Each gang member and each gang in LA are individuals. I'm an individual. No one in my set is going to tell me what to do. or how to do it and when to do it. There's no leader. There's no head, and you can't kill nothing that doesn't have a head. Everyone's running wild. And technically speaking, the gangs are out of control. They'll never be able to stop them. Never. We're not going on.
Sean was an adorable baby. He was a baby that would cry, and he'd put his hand over his mouth, and he'd look around to see if he was disturbing someone. Like, I don't want them to hear me crying, but I'm really upset, you know. He was a good baby. I knew the first time that I looked at him and held him, I said, something special about this little guy. This little guy is very special.
My mom did the very best that she possibly could for my brother Cody and me. She wasn't always around, true enough. She had to hold down 2 jobs, but we don't blame her for any of the mistakes that we've made. During my 5 years in juvenile corrections, I had a lot of time to sit back and think and look at everything I put my mom through. I went in for a first-degree murder at the age of 14 after retaliating on people that tried to kill my brother. I was 21 by the time I got out. Mom's is a strong woman, but I can't see putting her through that again. I've had 2 great role models in my life, my mother and my brother. Cody's currently serving out a 7-year sentence for assault. Regardless to what he may have done, right or wrong, he's still my role model.
What's up, Jackson?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm all right. What's up?
All right.
A lot of people ask us, why are we so close? We're brothers by chance and not by choice. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to love him. But we're best friends because we want to be, and that's our choice.
What's up, homie? I was thinking about you last night, and when I was in my cage. When Vietnam vets would be in Vietnam, and they would be wounded 1 or 2 times and have to be sent back and get an honorable discharge and probably a Purple Heart for bravery or valor. And you got people like Lil Crazy D, right, who've been wounded like 13, 14, 15 times, right? Pieces of his head missing. And then people like yourself or myself, you've been stabbed, I've been shot several times. Where do we go when our mind has been so hung up in years, not months of combat, and our mentalities have been reduced to mincemeat? Where do we go to seek compensation, not necessarily monetarily, right? But emotionally. You know, we need psychiatric help too, and we have no Veterans Administration, and it's starting from the cradle to the grave. You know what I mean? Starting from the cradle and ending with the grave. It gets so tiring to the point where it's mind-racking, and in moments of clarity, we commit acts like suicidal acts, and which sometimes results in what we go on now, which is gang activity, you know what I'm saying?
Cody was going to be an artist. Sean, I just felt Sean enjoyed reading, he enjoyed music. I knew it would be some kind of literary stuff that he would get involved in. I just knew that my guys were going to be all right. And my neighbors were very good to me. When we lived on Hillcrest, I was surrounded by different nationalities. They would take my children to the circus. They would take them to the park because they were lovable, for one thing.
Before we moved, where we were staying on 54th and Hillcrest, and I think back to those times, and those were some of the most securest times in my life. A lot of times when I need to think things out, I'll go back to that neighborhood because all I remember about living over there was the security and warmth I felt. Yeah, this is the house I grew up in. Played football on the grass. Of course, it was much greener then. I remember one thing my mother used to do that used to just kill me. After we would fight, she would make us sit out in the backyard and hug each other. And we'd be sitting there hugging each other, crying, you know, because of the fight, you know.
They stopped fighting each other because they didn't want to sit in the middle of the floor and hug. And especially when they're angry with each other. Well, I'm going to hit him again. It's okay. You can sit there and hug for 8 hours. It's fine. And apologize. Now kiss him. Give him a kiss. Tell him how much you love him and that you're sorry that you clobbered him.
My mom and father had moved out west from Texas in the latter part of the 50s, looking for that dream life here in the state of California.
Was married to Mr. Scott for 13 years. He and I had a failure to communicate. It's rather sad, too.
I can remember one time in particular where he came home and we can hear him in there arguing. And it was a butt that used to be on a .22 rifle. It was solid. And I can still hear the sound of it hit my father upside the head.
It got to the point where I found myself losing respect for him as a man, as a person, as a human being. It was over. I also felt that I had to do it for them, too, because we had gotten to the point where we were arguing in front of the children, and this would make them nervous.
I remember him packing things and leaving. I felt that I was losing something. I remember crying and telling him that he didn't have to go. And I remember him saying, well, you just don't understand. I don't know, I felt sad for a long time.
Hey, how's it going, Mr. Joe? Mr. Joe was like a father to all the kids who didn't have one. He really meant a lot to me. He suffered a stroke in 1990. Now he's an example of how the government ignores its veterans.
Been all right?
Sean was about 6 years old. I took him deep sea fishing, and the boy didn't do nothing but puke and sleep.
I caught that one little fish, but you made me throw it back because it was too small. Yeah, well, I mean, that was my first fish.
Yeah, he caught one little fish while he was puking. We have a beautiful world, but the people don't have sense enough to live in it.
That's true. Even though we were happy living on Hillcrest Street, in 1972, my mom bought a house, a bigger house, in South Central. South Central changed us. It changed everything.
We ceased being children from the time we hit South Central because we moved into a very gang-infested neighborhood, and gun battles were raging up and down the street continuously. And we just had to grow up quick. And just the Darwinistic theory of evolution, evolve or perish, really set in on us real heavy. And we just had to just go with the flow. We had to roll with the punches or just be eliminated.
And then the next thing I knew, Cody was getting off into a gang situation. And I really hated that. Oh, I really hated that. I went through everything that I could get to help me in order to try and keep them out. Of course, there was no help from the father because at this point they had become my children. They were always my children.
My first encounter with gang life, I was a victim. I think I was 10, and I was a victim of some guys in the gang who lived down the street. Older guys, older than myself. I was 10, they had to be like 12 maybe. Took my money, busted my lip. And I knew that they had the power then, that alluring power, right? And in that particular area, on that particular street, everybody was a gang member. Everybody clicked around the gang. The gang gravitated at center earth. Nothing was important outside of that. So to be a part of that was to be in. And then you had the power. And then you weren't a victim no more.
The Crips were like coming along, but it wasn't the shooting and all of that. It was just the fighting and what have you. So he thought that he wanted to be a Crip, and I promised him if so, I'd break both of his legs and he could easily be one.
She was upset. she didn't believe it. She didn't think it could happen to her children, not Cody and Sean. And she didn't take it serious for years, until she really started seeing us being gunned at, us pulling guns around the house, the gang graffiti in the room. The room had been transformed into a military launch site, and people coming over with a particular dress, a particular attitude, a particular talk.
I knew that it was a dangerous situation because I read the paper every morning. I look at the news. And it was happening to other mothers' sons, you know. They were dying and being shot up, some in wheelchairs. You know, I never wanted anything to ever happen to my children.
A friend of mine, Trayvon, and I were robbing this man, and the man hit me in the face and ran, and Trayvon held him for me. And I stomped him like for 20 minutes and really disfigured his face, stomped rocks into his face, and the man laughed into a coma, and the police said that, came back and told the civilians when they were trying to figure out for witnesses, whoever did this to this particular person has to be a monster. And then, so when I came around at night, people were saying, man, they called you a monster, man. They were calling you a monster. They said, man, you was this and you was that. And I was going, damn, monster. Unique name, you know?
As one police officer asked, why did I allow my sons to join a gang? And I said, sir, begging your pardon, it's nothing that I allowed. Said, you know, all the time when your black men leave your black woman, you don't always take care of your black babies. I'm taking care of these black babies. I have to.
In 1992, we created the first integrated child seat for the minivan. Now, we've improved it. We put the first airbag in the minivan. This year, we've added one for the passenger. In fact, we've improved over 2,400 parts on the new Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager, making them the first minivans to meet 1998 safety standards today. And where does that leave the competition?
By maximizing the ratio of room given to passengers to room given to machine, a new category of vehicle was invented. Later, this same principle leads to cab-forward design. The windshield is moved forward for increased visibility and decreased aerodynamic drag. Wheels are moved towards the corners to greatly increase interior room. This also provides a wider track for greater lateral stability during high-speed cornering. Presenting the new age of Chryslers, the Chrysler New Yorker, Chrysler Concord, Chrysler Town and Country, Chrysler LHS. Four of the most eloquent expressions ever of form following function.
The faces of discovery are the faces of the world. The Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Improving your home is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with all-weather aluminum.
Add beauty and value to your home with quality aluminum or vinyl siding.
Whether you'll drive a little, but you'll save a lot.
When I do go out with my family, I'm on full alert. It's always wise to have an extra set of eyes and an extra strap. Tony's a good man to have in your corner,
when the situation heats up because he knows how to handle himself. You know, he just helps me keep my family out of harm's way.
He goes places with us, like when we go to the mall. You know, sometimes him and his date might go to the movies with us, and sometimes me and Sean might go out, and he be babysitting for Becky, because Becky really loves him to death. He calls him Uncle Meat. That's what he calls him, Uncle Meat. And I hope that, you know, like some couples break up, then the father go this way and the mother go that way. But I hope that down the line, me and Sean really can just hang in there and coach my son. Because they say that a mother can teach a son everything that there is to know, but I don't think so. I think every child should be with his father. Every child should be with his father.
I think my son will look back and say, well, my father did this, and he did that, and at one point, you know, it was bad, and then at another point, it was good. I don't think he'll ever be ashamed of me. Now, if he wants to gangbang, all I can do is tell him no. No, it's wrong. No, don't run into the wall, boys. No. What? What you running to the wall for, Jack? Eventually they'll wake up and realize that it's safer to be at peace than to be at war. I mean, I'd rather be able to walk down the street safely and not watch my goddamn back, as opposed to looking at this car and wondering about this car, or looking at this dude over here and wondering why he's looking at me hostile. I'd rather just be able to chill, without having to worry about some silly motherfucker with a gun.
This my brother, this my brother, this my brother, this my brother. Something happened to him, I'm gonna go back for revenge. Something happened to him, I'm gonna go back for revenge. That's what a true homie do. That's what a true homie do. I hope they'll do the same for me. I know they'll do the same for me.
I like to say this too, though. Just because a nigga from H-Ray, for anybody said, they don't necessarily mean they're your homeboy just because they're from your neighborhood.
Right. Okay. All your homies ain't your homies.
Just because they represent the same thing you represent. Niggas out for different things.
Yup.
I need to heat things up myself. I just feel like killing right now. Well, yesterday too. It seems like after every little while I feel like killing somebody. After a while. I just feel like just when I touch a weapon. I figure ain't no need to have a weapon if you ain't gonna go use it. I was doing a lot of thinking last night. A lot of thinking. Living. The homies, my life. Shit. I figure I can kill about 20 more motherfuckers. Go get me a job. Get married.
Innocent people will be killed, as in any war. Whether it's gangs or political war, you will always have casualties of war. Innocent people will always be killed. I've never hit an innocent person in my life because I know how to use a weapon. A weapon, to me, is just like a car. There's no need in having a car in your driveway if you don't know how to drive it. Anybody can pull a trigger, but you want to know how to use that weapon to the fullest of its capabilities.
Day by day in my hood on the spot. See the same old thing, same dope means cops. Just the average.
I'll pull up at a light, and my biggest fear is being trapped in my car. Because of the reputation that I have, I fear that someone will pull up on the side of me and know who I am, and he'll have that jump. I'll be stuck in traffic at the light and can't get away. So that's one of my worst fears. As a matter of fact,
I try my damnedest to stay out of that middle lane, always in the far right lane, able to turn quickly if I can. Yeah.
Gangbangers hanging out, looking for something to get into, just like the next person. Looking for opportunity to make some money if they hustlers. Jack somebody for they hoop. Or just stick a motherfucker up.
I know if they see me, they for sure try to peel my cab. There ain't no doubt about that. Catch the light, Jack. I mean, stop right here. You should have stopped. Man, there goes some right there. Like 4 of them in one car. Damn.
Whenever I go into a spot, I'm checking all exits first. Got to be more than one exit. Got to be somewhere where I can watch my back. Got to be able to get up out of there. I wonder where them cats from.
See, we no longer need to identify another member by the color he has on, because baseball caps play such a big role. We have the T for Texas Rangers, which stands for Trey. We have the G for Georgetown, which stands for Gangster. ETG, A-Trey Gangster. His hat's gonna tell me the story. You know, sometimes you do things that may be against your better judgment. Even something as simple as stopping for a bird can turn into a gun battle.
There's been a lot of tragedies on this corner, many days, especially in the 80s. Plenty of people up here got hurt. I'm one of them had to learn the hard way. But I'm lucky I'm still living, you know what I mean? Yeah, shit, I was just up here slipping, really. There was some brothers behind the alley was having a gang fight. I was up here ordering. I know shit about it. Got caught up in the middle. They ran around here with a weapon. They chased, of course I broke, you know what I mean? That I had no weapon. They chased me down. One brother was like trying to, you know what I'm saying, get at me for how people do in the streets. We couldn't get on a good understanding. One of his homies standing next to him just pulled a gat out and shot me in the jaw. Hit me right here. My tongue came out through my neck. I tried to run. When I started running, hit my nerve and knocked me out, but I was on my feet dazed. That's when he shot me in my back. I ran back this way, because after they came through, I ran that way, and they chased me back this way. But that time I already got shot twice. I ran to Florence and just said, you know what I mean? I thought I was gonna die, you know what I mean? But you would think you was gonna die too if blood was shooting out to both sides of your face. When I came through here and I was walking, I was holding my hand, you know, like that. People in the waiting room, they started hollering, screaming, somebody help me, somebody help me.
Neck wounds are very, very serious. All his wounds were very serious, frankly. He's had a collapsed lung. A lot of gang members do die here in the AR. Unfortunately, you see not only for the individual person, but of course their families. And for what it can be said, their fellow gang members really care about them too. And there's a lot of pain and hurt and rage. It takes its toll on everyone, even us here in the emergency room. We're just fortunate we just keep functioning because we have a job to do. But at the end of the day, your thoughts go back to what happened over the previous 12 hours.
Cody got shot on a New Year's Eve. It came to me in a dream the night before. And I got up that morning and I was just almost hysterical. So I said, Cody, look, let's talk. I've got to talk with you. So he said, oh, Bert, it's just a dream. So I stayed home all that day, New Year's Eve. And if I moved, I grabbed his hand. Because you could wink your eye and he would disappear. It was like he was an apparition or something, you know? So this was going on, and usually a friend of mine, we would drink champagne on New Year's Eve at the Eat Shop where I used to work. And Cody say, Bert, look, you've worn me out. I'm not going to go anyplace. I said, Cody, if you leave home today, you're going to either be shot up real bad or you're going to die. So finally I did leave, and I went to the eat shop, and Cody did leave too.
One guy got a beard, a mustache, one guy got a beard, and one guy's clean shaven. But they're not dressed like gang members, and I don't see no bulges where they might be armed. So the guy walks up to me and he says, "Aren't you Monster Cody?" So I said, "Yeah, I'm Monster Cody. I'm from A-Trade Gangster. What's up?" And the guy reaches in his coat. He has a pea coat, but he can't get through the gun apparently because of the button. And when he reaches in his coat, Lil Hunchy runs and leaves me. When I look towards Lil Hunchy to the left and look back, the guy shoots me in the stomach. Shoots me in the stomach, point blank range, no closer than you and I are, and blows me against the wall. And the impact of the bullet, it doesn't really hurt me, but it surprises me. And the force of it blows me against the wall. And just out of survival, out of the instinct, I rush towards him, try to grab the gun, and he shoots me in the left hand, and my hand hits the wall like it's blown off, where I don't look at my hand. So now I know it's time to go. I turn around and try to run, he shoots me in the back. The bullet that hits me in the back knocks me down on my face, and I'm dazed. So now I'm getting up on my knees, and the guy kicks me in the stomach, kicks me over, so I have no alternative but to put my leg up, just try to shield a shot, and he shoots me 3 times in the left leg, and then they run off. Well, Lil Hunchy, he ran the entire block, and he comes back. And he asks me, "What happened?" "Well, damn fool, I'm shot. That's what happened."
The manager came, Maurice came, and he said, "Babes, I think you better come to the phone. Everybody's screaming and crying. Something is wrong at your house." I said, "Know what it is. My child has been shot." And sure enough, he had.
My first thought was is he dead? The only news I got was that he was shot, you know. I immediately raced home looking for the weapons that I knew we had at home, which was a double-barrel shotgun and a 9mm hand weapon. Neither was there.
I went to the hospital. It was horrible because I saw so much while I was there. Other mothers there with their kids coming in, cut up and bleeding. It was horrible. Oh. A lot of people were wondering why I was not screaming and hollering, but I had experienced this. I had gone through this in my dream. I'd had it, you know. But I touched him, and I knew he was going to be all right.
This portion of Discovery is brought to you in part by Chrysler Plymouth, a division of the Chrysler Corporation.
All the days of my life. No quiche.
Monday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Only on Discovery Showcase.
Once the sun went down, the mission was in action. We had the 2 shotguns that I had, which was a double barrel, which I had, the 20 gauge pump, a 12 gauge pump, a 8mm rifle, and 2 .357 Python hand weapons. And we started on our journey in the enemy territory. We combed each block, looking for any sign of movement. They knew retaliation would be swift. But with it being a holiday, January 1st, 1981, we knew that we would eventually catch somebody out. When we did, we ate him up.
I was very hurt. I was hurt for the mother that child belonged to. I knew how she felt because I knew how I felt.
I hung out the window first. They were standing on the sidewalk. I gave them both barrels of a 12-gauge shotgun that was not sawed off. That was the person that died. The pictures that I was showed while I was going to court on it, I couldn't believe that a shotgun could actually do a person like that. It made me respect the shotgun even more. This person had no stomach anymore. It had been blown completely away. What had been the torso, the midsection of the body, was no more. It didn't look like anything human.
You can't solve anything by just going out and doing the same thing that has been done to you.
It wasn't necessarily the person that I murdered wasn't necessarily the person who actually pulled the trigger on my brother, but he was affiliated with that neighborhood, and that's just like getting the trigger man himself. When you live in my world, retaliation has to be swift. As long as it's swift, it will make people respect your neighborhood and think twice about coming over there.
So I knew that he was capable of doing that, but I didn't think to the extent that he would go to that extent. And he really surprised me, which would just overwhelming. I felt proud. I felt proud that he was able to rise above the emotionalism of his brother being shot and take care of business.
We did several other drive-bys at night on 3 different neighborhoods, all enemies to my own neighborhood, because I was not satisfied with just getting that one neighborhood. I wanted to let all the neighborhoods know, affiliated with that one, that retaliation is swift.
And then I wasn't as I am now, so I didn't care about the victims. It was just them and us. It was war, and I didn't care, but I was really proud of him.
We were in a trans band, and I was sitting shotgun, with a double barrel between my legs. I remember driving down the street and seeing these guys in the street, sitting on a parked car. I looked at their faces, knew it was them. We then prepared, everybody loaded up, we rounded the corner again. Upon the second time coming by, I hung out the window and said, "Hey, mother." And when he turned around, I hit him with both barrels. Hit him in the neck. Just barely hit him in the neck, though. I didn't give him, he didn't feel the brunt of both barrels like he should have, because he lived. After my initial 2 shots in a double barrel, that was it. I would sit back then and let everybody else do their thing. I can remember hitting the corner and looking back and seeing all 5 people stretched out. And I knew the job had been well done. At which point, I went over to my girlfriend's house and sat back and caught the 11 o'clock news.
When Sean looked at me in the hospital and he was crying, and he wanted to tell me so bad, I could see it in his eyes, to communicate on that emotional level, man, like, damn, I love you, bro, and we couldn't, because we had that image, that mask, we had to be monsters, you know what I mean?
I've cried from happiness with them, cried out of anger with them, I cried whenever they were sick. I hurt for them. Whew.
Wiggle, you'll find.
Got over 100 pages in it. 3 and 4 pictures on each page. There's not one page in here where everybody on that page is out of jail. Not one page. My homegirl, Annette, participated in shooting altercation. She's now doing time in a women's facility. My homie here, Big Spike. Here's a guy with 25 to life. My homie right here, Trey Ball. Trey Ball was crazy at times, but stupid he wasn't. There's been all type of stories circulating about what really happened in Trey Ball's back house that day. No one really wants to talk about it. You know? All we know is that Trey Ball died back there, and the official story was he was playing Russian roulette. I mean, I look at these pictures and I see what comes to my mind when I look at these pictures are, what was I doing when we were taking these pictures, you know, and the memories that I'm flooded with, you know. And at times I'm overwhelmed, and at other times I'm rather sad because I know I won't see that person again. You know, this is another homeboy, Booger Red. Mysteriously was gunned down one night. We're not sure if it's from another gang that was not our rival, but an ally or an old man. There's been talk that it was this and it was that. In situations like this, where we can't be for sure, who can we retaliate on? We just have to let it go. This here, I don't have any pictures of 8-Ball. This is all I have left of him, all right? And it simply says, I got out today. Call me, homeboy. This is 8-Ball, Daryl Knox. And he left his number, 777-1770. Left that on my door. At night, he was killed. And this is all I got left of him, so I put it in my photo album. You know? Alvin, you see his obituary in here. Wasn't really active, but he supported the neighborhood, you know? He never did a drive-by shooting in his life. Just a guy in the neighborhood that everybody knew he was real cool. Was at the store with his little girl in hand. Guys gunned him down with his little girl in hand, you know? Think about so many broken dreams, so many broken lives. And this book right here can tell a story that just this book alone, that no other book could ever tell.
Man, like we have pride. I got A-Tray on my neck. I never lived on 83rd a day in my life. I don't own a brick on 83rd. But you see how much pride I have in this particular street that I'll put it on my neck for life? That's pride. You ain't never seen George Bush with capitalism on his neck or Republican on his neck. But I'm sure he's proud of it, but we take this to the extreme, our pride.
If we can put the same amount of pride into the community and instill it in the youngsters, then we do something positive and constructive for the community as opposed to just tearing stuff up. That's our role. That's our mission. I've done so much wrong in my community that helping somebody, to me, is like giving something back.
Everybody knows that this is A-Tray Park. Actually, I'm glad it's like this, you know? It brings a sense of community to the park.
We teach them discipline. That's one of the things that we teach the kids at the park. And that's also something that we teach the young homies as they come into the gang. We played that role of being there, that male figure, be it positive or negative. It's there. And that's why the kids come around us.
This is the ball. This right here, it's you. This right here is you. You the center. You my running back. I like the way you run.
You know, these kids today have some of the same problems we did. So it's up to us to try and guide them, not necessarily into the gang or out of the gang, but through life. You know, people don't seem to understand. It's not like when they grew up, the days of Ozzie and Harry are dead. There are good fathers
in the black community. They've taken a beating. They've been through it all, through the unemployment, through the jailhouse. But they still are there for their kids.
They 2 years old. Yeah, they've been with me ever since they was born. It's hard. It ain't easy. But they all I got. So I can't give up on them. They haven't seen their mother since they was about 6 months old. They football fans, though. Basketball and baseball, they like all sports.
When Pops left, there was a void in my life. But it was Bro who taught me to be a man, who taught me the responsibility it takes to be a voice in the community, to be a leader. I picked all that up from him.
On the level of shooting at each other, you gotta stop shooting at each other. Because it's not about turf. We've been warring with the 60s for 10 years and we ain't moved across Western yet. And they ain't moved across Western, so it's not about land, because neither one of us own nothing that we fighting for. It's not about colors, because the color of freedom in America is green. It ain't red, it ain't blue, so you ain't fighting about colors. What you need to do is rethink the situation. If you want to fight for something, come join us. Come fight for the land. You know what I mean? Fight for the land. Fight for some land that you can say is yours. Don't fight for a street that you don't own a brick on. I've been doing that for 17 years. I'm a 17-year veteran of the Crips. I ain't got nothing. I don't own a brick in this country. You know what I mean? So what you fighting for? You ain't fighting for nothing. And it's not about wearing a Malcolm X t-shirt or wearing a Malcolm X hat. It's about being yourself. You know what I mean? Being an African ain't something that you get up in the morning and put on. It's something that you are. It's something that you are. You know what I mean? It's a mind state. To be in that mind state.
All right, brother.
All right, Jack, I love you.
I love you, too.
All right, free the land.
Free the land.
All right.
When I went through juvenile hall, there was no one there to guide me, to talk to me, tell me, look, brother, I've been through that shit. It's not worth it, Or to just talk to me, man to man, especially after I had did the majority of my time and I was a man, and I was close to coming home. There was no one there to talk to me man to man. I feel I can be that person. I feel that I can reach a lot of youngsters where I wasn't reached. And even if I can, even if I reach one youngster, that's one more than before. So that's the job that I want.
It's amazing. I don't know how we made it. But then, there was no reason we shouldn't have and no reason we couldn't have made it.
Little Monster has proven that he's made it in ways not normally open to gang members. Kershawn Scott has become a popular and well-paid speaker by reaching out to youngsters in elementary schools and students in universities. While in prison, his older brother Cody has written a best-selling book called Monster, the autobiography of an LA gang member. But the nationwide epidemic of youth violence is still spreading from the inner cities to the suburbs. Offenders are getting younger, their crimes becoming more serious. Since 1987, the number of teenagers arrested for murder has skyrocketed by a staggering 85%. Law enforcement experts blame a variety of factors, among them child abuse, witnessing violence at an early age, and easy access to handguns. African-American intellectuals and leaders are troubled by the spread of the gangster mentality. They see the murderous behavior of gang members as part of an empty quest for pleasure, property, and power. Actions that are self-destructive, born of a loss of hope to fill lives that have little meaning. For Discovery Journal, I'm John Palmer.
This portion of Discovery is brought to you in part by Jeep and Eagle. This portion of Discovery is brought to you in part by Jeep and Eagle.
That there are 60,000 gang members responsible for a full third of that city's homicides. And over the years, no gang has received more attention than the Crips, and no gangster has become more notorious than Cody Scott. For nearly 2 decades, the tattooed, bullet-scarred veteran of LA's gang wars robbed, mugged, and murdered his way to the top ranks of the gang underworld, earning the nickname Monster Cody for his distinctive brand of brutality. Now he's subdued the literary world with a memoir that some have compared to the autobiography of Malcolm X and Eldridge Cleaver's Soul on Ice. He is handsome, bright, and articulate, but he won't be making the rounds of the talk shows or book parties.
Back up, your arm on the door. Face the wall over here.
He is presently occupied at the Pelican Bay State Prison, the Devil's Island of the California penal system, where he's serving a 7-year sentence for robbery and assault, indisposed to all but carefully screened guests.
Escort coming in.
He spends 22.5 hours a day in solitary confinement, where he wrote his autobiography with a prison-issue pencil. According to the show business daily Variety, his New York literary agents, Janklow and Nesbitt, sold it for $250,000. And now, Hollywood mogul Michael Ovitz's agency is peddling the movie rights.
This book is 383 pages of killings, stabbings, beatings, drive-by shootings, revenge killings. At one point, you amputate the arms of a rival gang member. Explain that to me.
This book is 383 pages of reality. I'm uniquely qualified to write 383 pages of life for this generation, and that's what I've done. So, it's 383 pages of gore, no doubt about that, but it's reality. It happens every day.
In Monster's case, it was everything from carjacking to robbery to murder, with names, dates, and places altered slightly in the book to protect the guilty. The Los Angeles Times called him a walking, stalking, incarcerated end product of America's assault on the black psyche. The New York Times praised the book as a raw and frightening portrait of gang life.
Where I lived, we grew and died in dog years. Actually, some dogs outlived us. Where I lived, stepping on someone's shoe was a capital offense, punishable by death. The underlying factor that usually got you killed was the principle. The principle is respect, a linchpin critical to relations between all people, but magnified by 30 in the ghettos and slums across America.
Are you proud of these words?
I'm proud of the words, yes. Not necessarily the deeds, but I'm proud of the words.
What was your reaction when you saw the New York Times review?
I kind of jumped around the still a bit, you know. First time I've ever been recognized by a civilian for something other than aggression, naked aggression.
Is that important to you to be recognized by civilians?
This is not for recognition, it's the truth, you know. Somebody had to speak about it. Somebody had to say something.
This was the center of Monster Cody's existence, one small, violent part of Los Angeles, the corner of Florence and Normandy, where last year's riots broke out. He grew up just a few blocks from here, and this is the neighborhood where he made his reputation, with the 8 Trey Gangsters, a violent, predatory faction of the Crips, 1 battalion in the Los Angeles gang wars. He joined the Crips at age 11 on the day he graduated from the 6th grade. That night, he says he was given a shotgun, and for his initiation, he pumped 8 rounds into the ranks of a rival gang.
Why would an 11-year-old want to carry a gun and go out and kill people?
It was necessary. It was either I got with the power or I was a victim. Either you get with it or you don't. It's pressure, peer pressure. It's normal. And this is normality. There's no measuring stick for normality where we live.
And so whatever happens to be the trend at that particular time, which was shooting people, was the normal thing to do. It didn't matter that I was 11, you know. I could have been 9.
I want to read you something that you wrote. My participation in the gangs came as second nature. To be in a gang in South Central when I joined, and it's still the case today, is the equivalent of growing up in Grosse Pointe, Michigan and going to college. Everyone does it.
Everyone does it. And those who don't are considered weak, because now we have a measuring stick, and the measuring stick is to be to be a gunfighter, to be a fighter. You know, that's the measuring stick, the manhood in our community now, as was the case then.
What did you like about the people that were in the Crips in your neighborhood?
The power they seemed to wield. They had this allure. They were free. See, you had two classes. You had the victims and you had the assailants. And the assailants always seemed to be my heroes, because they seemed to come away victorious every time.
It would become his career, his calling, as he wrote in the book, not some awkward stage of his life, but a job. At 15, he was arrested for assault. A year later, he was shot 6 times in an ambush. He survived to become a general with the title OG, Original Gangster, a full-fledged ghetto star.
Do you have any idea how many people you've killed?
No. No, I don't even know. I wonder how many people Oliver North killed. I don't know. Or Norman Schwarzkopf. He's a hero, isn't he? I don't know. I don't know.
But you remember doing it?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I was engaged in a war, and the rules of engagement were kill or be killed, you know?
You say it's a war. Who are the sides? Who's fighting who? Over what?
It's a war, actually, for nothing other than the destruction of human beings. The end result is to create funerals. As many soldiers as you can drop on the other side is considered success. And with the dropping of bodies, the pushing out of people, you get a reputation, which is like the pinnacle. And you climb the ladder, just as in any other organization or corporation or army or anything you climb a ladder, and that becomes your goal.
To win respect.
To win respect.
Why respect?
Because there's no objective respect coming from, quote unquote, society. So when you don't feel respect, you create what is respect to you.
He had a lot more going for him than most of his peers. He was raised by his mother, Bertie Scott, in a modest but comfortable section of South Central Los Angeles.
Doesn't fit the stereotype. I mean, it's nice lawns, people take care of their houses. Looks like a working class neighborhood.
Yes.
No drive-by shootings?
No, never.
His biological father, according to Bertie, is Dick Bass, the former NFL running back for the Los Angeles Rams. His godfather was Ray Charles, a family friend.
I'd like to think that had I not had to work 3 jobs, 2 jobs, I could have spent a little more time and maybe he would not have become a monster.
Did you try and stop it?
Of course. I tried everything. Cub Scouts, I went. Child guardians, everything that I could reach out and try and get a hold of just to get some help, some kind of help. It just couldn't come fast enough because there were too many other children that were having the same kind of problem, parents having the same kind of problem, and there were too many people ahead of my little guy. And as time was moving on, he was moving on. So there was just no help.
I want to read you something from the book. I enjoyed being Monster Cody. I lived for the power surge of playing God, having the power of life and death in my hands.
Wow.
He obviously liked it.
He did.
And he was good at it.
He was that kind of person. Whatever he decided to do,
he was going to do it well. He always wanted to do better than anyone else. Always.
You don't have most of the usual excuses. You didn't grow up in the projects. You had a very strong mother. Your biological father is...
Absent.
An NFL football player.
But, yeah, I hear you.
Your godfather's Ray Charles.
Yeah. But while my mother's at work being a working class woman, while my father was on the football field, while Ray was in the recording studio, I was in the street. You know what I mean? I was being influenced by social forces that they couldn't even touch, couldn't even understand. And my mother couldn't protect me from that. Ray couldn't come get me all the time. And Dick never came. But, you know what I mean? So...
Do you resent that?
To a great extent, no doubt about it. I hate him. You know what I mean? I hate him because I think about what I could have been, you know? And I can't dig that, man. You're running out on your kids, you know? You know. Father thing, man. But that's just heavy to me now, you know? That's just heavy.
Would it have made a difference, do you think?
Yeah, because I wouldn't have to go to the street to find the street people, you know? To find, you know, people in the street, you know?
He says he's put that life behind him. He's adopted the African name Sanyika Shakur, unifier of people, and now, through his writing, wants to help put an end to gang violence.
I like the pen better than the weapon, actually, now, because I know I can reach more people. I'm not into destruction for destruction's sake.
Not everyone buys it. Certainly not Bambi Moyer, the prosecutor in Riverside County, California, who last put Monster away.
How would you describe Cody Scott?
I would almost say that he's chameleon-like, because of the fact that when he was in court, he was extremely calm, extremely respectful. He's a bright guy. He is not dumb, extremely intelligent, and I think extremely entrenched in the gang lifestyle. That is his life.
A hardcore killer.
Mm-hmm. I think Cody Scott would kill you just as soon as he would shake your hand.
One of the prosecutors who put you here told us that you were the perfect sociopath. Somebody who was able to use their brains and their charm to manipulate people in society.
Sounds like Robert Dole, doesn't it? Sociopath. That's heavy. No, I don't think so. I'm a regular cat. You know what I mean? I'm a regular person.
You're not a regular person to most people. You shot people, you killed people.
I've had an eventful life.
Do you feel any respect to, allegiance for the city of Los Angeles, the state of California, the United States of America?
Not one iota. I'm not even a citizen of America. I'm a citizen of the People's Republic of New Africa. And, no, I don't. America, no. Come on.
He says he's renounced gang violence, but now he's embraced a radical black separatist cause that some consider even more dangerous. According to Monster, that's why he's in Pelican Bay.
I'm what they call an organizer, an agitator. And when I transformed from being a Crip to being a revolutionary, I became a threat.
Are you a threat?
Apparently, I'm in solitary confinement sitting here in chains. Apparently, someone thinks I'm a threat.
With 2 armed guards right next to you.
This is a college to me. I'm training in revolutionary science. I'm locked in my cage and using what I have to get what I want. So when I get out, I may be a upstanding, quote-unquote, citizen, being that I won't commit crimes because I'm not a criminal. But every day of my life will be working towards the independence of my people. So I won't rob nobody. I won't sell crack. I won't shoot nobody that doesn't deserve to be shot.